Hello everyone and welcome back to Wargame Red Dragon. Today we have a very nice and very good game between myself and Locomotive, a second lieutenant, and Michelle and Gabriella. So we are both playing on the Red 4 team as the Soviet Union, which is something I actually see relatively often, and Locomotive was very insistent. He wanted Feder, he wanted Anna, and my job was to deal with Cheriton and Elena. So I move over command infantry and a KA-29TB, as well as a light helicopter escort, an MI-2, and an MI-24V over to Cheriton, while the main column moves up toward Elena. So my hope is to just kind of grab hold of that corner of Elena that is so irritating to work around for the other side of the map, and do what I can to either counter cap eventually, should the need arise, or just be a complete pain in the ass. And yeah, I know this is a destruction game, and so, I mean, points matter, kills matter, income matters a lot, and that's part of why I wanted to take this somewhat risky approach of, yeah, I'll be fighting in Elena, and yeah, I might lose some troops here, but denying my opponent a comfortable +3 will eventually be very much in our favor. So Locomotive is able to get some early captures here on Anna and Gregory. I cap Feder, as well as moving some command infantry to a more secure position in Cheriton. But here's the first engagement. So my opponent has already crossed the bridge, already trying to get infantry into these towns, which I guess is a rather somewhat predictable move, and I just wasn't expecting it. So my BMPT moves a little too far up. But I do have Skrezhets, I do have BMP3s, I have VDV, and Motostrelki, and that's a lot of firepower. So my BMPT unfortunately takes a bit more than he can handle. He should have been farther back, providing that long-range, high HE fire support from that main gun of his. But unfortunately, the Skrezhets are going to have to do it. So in comes a Jaguar GR1 bomber, and this I barely saw. I'm trying to move things out of the way, and it does actually kind of work, as it is clustered that doesn't really get anything, so my Skrezhets are fine. My Motostrelki are fine, and my BMP3, anchoring the formation in the back, is able to bring that long-range gun online decently well. So Chieftain Mark II puts that sort of out of commission, but that 80-point tank gets too close, and Motostrelki and VDV take him down. So Royal Marines are going to be an issue. There is some SAS in the woods as well, and that means helicopters are going to get destroyed, so I am trying to bring these guys a little bit closer, but I have to be careful because, you know, SAS are quite capable. Let's see if we can see stats. Yeah, so here's the thing. So Stinger missiles are extraordinarily accurate, but relatively short range, and we can definitely make use of that. K-29TBs killing a unit of Royal Marines and actually managing to evac out, as the Royal Marines on the other side just get overwhelmed by the sheer numbers. And yes, half my VDV have died in the one group and a quarter in the other, but we're getting them slowly. Yak-38 comes in, and let's see. The Yak goes down, but actually makes himself up exactly. So 70-point bomber, 70 points of kills on the ground, and I would trade for that because, you know, that gives me the immediate advantage here, right? So those expensive elite infantry are killed. My KA-29, my Mi-24V is able to take out those vehicles on the right-hand side, and we finally are able to secure the town. In the meantime, the second lieutenant, who, was very, very insistent on what he wanted, has a Conquerors team that's providing good fire support down long range. Razvedka are spotting forward position, and we have an F-111C bomber coming up over the top, and this is going to hurt. So, my poor Motostrelki. Yeah, no, not long for this world. And this was actually rather surprising. So my Skrezhets get an engagement against these Lynxes, and at first it looks like it's going pretty well. But the short reload, I guess the short burst length there is going to be a problem, as I lose one of the Skrezhets to that 20mm gun, I guess double 20mm gun, and the other one is panicked, so his rate of fire is low, his accuracy is low. If those guys were in the woods and sort of just holding back, they could have ambushed the Lynxes, gotten the good engagement, and gotten those kills, but as it is, I lose them both. So, Yak-141 coming in, my ally here bringing in two of the 90-point cheaper anti-helicopter planes, and this was a bit of a questionable decision, even from someone who is very skilled at this game. It's just, are the two Lynx 20mm worth it? I mean, it looks like he's getting out. It looks like he's able to do it. Nope, one of the planes goes down, and the return for that was a single 30-point helicopter. So I do immediately mark what looks like Radar AA over on that side, and My ally has brought in a Mista, so that will be able to get some pretty good damage down if we can get there. In the meantime, VDV-90 are just sort of holding this bridge area. MTLBVs are just up to draw fire. And my infantry is relatively hurt, so I brought in some more cheap Motostrelki, cheap transports just to pad out numbers here, hoping that making use of these towns, making use of the woods, cheaper infantry would be able to outperform themselves. In terms of the kills so far, Locomotive has 135 points of kills, I have 485, but I've also taken the brunt of the losses. So Michelle's 310 points are pretty much all against me, and Gabriella is also able to get some good kills and good damage done to my troops as well. So my forces have taken a bit of a hammering, traded relatively at cost, and Locomotive has been able to get the additional 135 points at basically no expense to himself. So there's a KA-52 spotting way over there. I like that move quite a lot. Probably do it myself as well. F-111C bomber comes back in, and I'm starting to sense a theme here. So my Motostrelki, unfortunately, down again. VDV even took some splash damage, and I lost one of the units there. From that, unfortunately, the MiGs were not able to get that bomber, neither was the Yak, and I nearly lose the Yak to whatever it is sitting in that back forest. So we are, of course, fighting against something with UK, probably something Commonwealth, I'd say, rather than just a UK national deck. Would seem to make more sense, and I think that's actually both players because, well, no, I might have, well, so Gabrielle has a Ferrets, Michelle has Saxons, yeah, probably both Commonwealth players. And there is a ping. What was that ping? I don't quite know. Might have been my ally losing something. Not really sure. But we do kind of settle in here a little bit as the Mistas open up, trying to get some, I guess, damage done to infantry or vehicles in that town, and Royal Marines are crossing the bridge. This absolutely terrified me when it was happening, so this is an interesting thing. If you take a look, there's infantry here on the far side, there's infantry also on the close side, and that's because they were let out on the bridge, so they just went to whichever side was closer. But that close unit gets here, and all of a sudden they both pop too. So a little bit weird there, sort of gamey mechanics, I guess. They should have just been let out in the center of the bridge, and it would have taken them far longer to cross and get that good engagement they were looking for. But my VDV aren't able to stand up to that. Apologies again for the kitten maybe getting a little bit loud in the background there, but she's cute, it makes up for it, at least most of the time. And Royal Marines have, well, crossed the bridge, secured a bit of, not a beachhead per se, but certainly an advanced forward position. And this, I think, is a mistake. So they come up, find my Motostrelki, and keep shooting. And they're only shooting, it looks like, with their tertiary weapons, so the rate of fire, the rate of damage output is going to be slower than a closer engagement, where they were able to use that, the short-range gun as well. And they're spotted for a long time, so I know exactly where they are, and these guys are very expensive. I think they're 35 points apiece. Unfortunately, the F-111C coming in yet again, and my Motostrelki are taking the punishment that I said was meant for those Royal Marines. So down they go, and at this point, Michelle and Gabriella must be thinking, well, we have to have blown a hole through this side, and they're very nearly right. So I have taken a lot of losses there. My allies' MI-8 MTVs are able to kill this resupply truck, and that's very good because it keeps the Royal Marines stunned, damaged, and unable to resupply. So, that pretty much saved the situation there, and he actually stole the kill. Well, I say stole the kills, but he got the kills from that as well. So, great use of some relatively cheap transports with pretty excellent S-13 rocket pods there. Again, these two airplanes coming in after a Lynx, and I guess if they can both get out, it's worth it, but we already lost one doing the same thing. However, I have now managed to countercap Elena, so using a BMD-2K, this is a 130-point vehicle, 2 front, 2 side, 1 back, 1 top armor, and pretty decent speed with a 2A42 autocannon. It's not exactly high performance, but it's not exactly terrible either, and that is certainly worth something. In the meantime, that AA location that I pinged has been hit, at least I think it has. And now the mist is opening up at targets that it can see, so I say it's pretty common for people to put stuff in that patch of woods. One, it has vision along the main area. Two, you can usually use it to sneak things forward, and wow, that was a lot of AA, so quite a lot going on there in terms of radar, AA, and just generic defense net from the Blue 4 team, but it's not quite enough. So an MI-24A able to get around the back with some sort of scout infantry, and that's going to be causing a lot of problems real soon. And you can see now the second lieutenant is really enjoying this sort of game, as he caught up and passed me in kills, while I'm just trying to continually reinforce this position and do my best to see about taking down that complete nuisance of a bomber that just keeps evaporating my infantry. So I am bringing up some resupply trucks, and the intention here is just keep things safe, heal those VDV, heal the front line, maybe let me cycle things in and out more. Plus, another observation I had from a previous game was a little bit of a lightly armored command vehicle in these woods can sometimes resist cluster, and even if it takes some damage, resupply vehicles in the back will be able to heal it up. So it took 2 points of damage there. Let's see, we might take more. Nope, a little bit of a miss, and 2 points is all we take, but we'll be able to heal that and eventually survive. So F-111C probably misclicked there, probably meant to be fired at position, and instead just ordered onto the field. So a little bit unfortunate for my opponent, but we do kill those transports, and the Royal Marines are still attempting to cross the bridge without any support, so maybe not the best move there, and it does draw the attention of the Mista. So those artillery shells are coming in. That's 5 points of damage off the single one. Let's see if they can keep that up, and it looks like it's a little bit too far down the bridge, so the Royal Marines really getting better lucky than good right there. But it does look like maybe one unit died. Yes, so one unit was killed by that second to last artillery piece, well, artillery shot there, and there's now a couple Mistas, I think, so two Mistas, and I'm bringing out another Yak just to keep things defended on the high ground. So good use of Rardans here. They do just have that cheap gun, 15.5 sport vehicle, but you know, if my VDV poke their heads up to shoot at something, the Rardans will be able to bring their guns online, and that will be very, very powerful. The Spetsnaz grew in the back, deposited by the Mi-24A, not quite making themselves useful as of yet, but they are moving down toward Boris, and we will be poking our heads back up there real soon. So Yak 141 circling, trying to dissuade resurgence of bombers into this Elena zone. Our BMD-2K has been completely healed, and now VDV are cycling back, so fresh VDV moving forward, and the damaged ones moving back to be healed by those Urals, because of course in this game men are made of guns and oil. And now the Spetsnaz crew are starting to spot. So we see the fob, we see an Alvis stalwart here just hanging out, probably refueling, resupplying, before headed back up to the front lines. And those Rardans have been exposed long enough that the Mista basically sees free kills. So lots of artillery coming in there, and it's just 15 points per, but that adds up. Eurofighter Typhoon coming in, probably trying to deal with the Yak that's seen over here, as well as these MiG-23 MLDs who immediately evac because, I mean, the Eurofighter is more than powerful enough. I also evac'd, and this really sucked. So I evac'd the Yak because I was sitting there going, you know, I don't want to take on that Eurofighter alone. And here comes the F-111C, and at this point in the game, given, you know, the income difference and the score difference, I would have happily traded that Yak to kill the F-111C. So I really wanted to, I hit evac, I saw the F-111C, and I was just sitting there going, you know what, damn it, I really want that thing dead. And my Bidrausas aren't doing it. I don't have enough points with constantly resupplying the infantry to do it there. And, I mean, look at that. Just, it wouldn't really have mattered which town they were in. That was going to kill the Motostrelki. So another unit of admittedly cheap Motostrelki dead. It's not the end of the world, but it certainly isn't fun. Cluster artillery coming in, but looking at the wrong side of the field, so the Mistas are absolutely fine, and I was kind of puzzled by that. They've been firing for long enough, I'd expected more accurate counterfire, but sometimes it's hard to see, especially with a lot going on. And this is an interesting choice as well. So Blue 4 is elected for triple fob, 2 from Gabriella and 1 from Michelle. So maybe expecting to go heavy on artillery, or just expecting a long attrition-y game with good resupply, but then that's kind of at odds with sending Royal Marines up and over the bridge to their deaths every time. So if you keep doing that for too long, you're not going to have the points for much else. And these guys do not like where they have been found, so I mean, basically immediately stunned and killed. Some of the fastest work I've seen VDV and MTLBVs do together in quite a while. And so our opponents by this point won't have known that this is all spotted, because the FOBs are in open ground, the Alvis is in open ground, there's no blinking to solid indicator that says, okay, something that should be hidden is not, and there was the counterfire that was more accurate. Mistas looks like got out of dodge, and these guys do have wheels, I think? No, they're tracked. But now there's 4 of them, and they're just scooting back and forth, shooting from different positions, and dancing circles around around the enemy counterfire there, so very nicely done. PTR Conquer's team just getting a couple light shots in at, it looks like Now, that looks like a transport. Mechanized infantry there, and unfortunately the Conqueror's missile was a bit of a miss. And, I mean, we're just kind of hanging out at this point, right? Because I've got 570 points, Locomotive has 665. I know he has Mistas, and I know that he has eyes on a couple fobs. That's free points right there, let alone if anything else moves in. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, maybe I can get some better air defenses going. Maybe I can really just try and take down the F-111C. And here come two MiGs trying to do that. The Yak is turning, but will it turn quickly enough? And that's going to be a bit of a bait, as one missile goes in, but the F-111C is already evac Winchester. Evac ordered off the Yak, but it's not going to be quick enough as the Eurofighter gets his kill, supported of course by the AA Nat in the back. And that's a little unfortunate, so really the exact opposite of what I wanted to happen. The F-111 is alive, and my Yak 141 has been lost. Now, we have killed one of the fobs, and by we, I mean that my ally has killed, I think actually, maybe, no, this looks like it's still alive. He's killed one, that's for sure, and there's the artillery that's counter-firing, so that's probably what's going to come next. It does look like more accurate this time around again, as those Mistas are driving down to the other side. I brought out a Smirch, don't really get much of an opportunity to use it, as the match is very quickly coming to a close, and I think our opponents were just feeling a little bit, here's what it is. So the Spetsnaz crew come up and use their tank weapon to kill some artillery, to kill an Iltis CP, decap the back of Boris, and that's going to be the end of the match. So we will show you guys the KD here real quick, because I haven't done that the last couple videos, and I definitely want to. In terms of team, it's 1680 to 885, but Locomotive has definitely carried the brunt of it here, as I just barely managed to go positive in that contested front section, while that use of artillery just, wow, beautiful. Spetsnaz crew as well with that flanking maneuver that he did. That's the stuff that makes games, right? So, very nicely done to Locomotive, pleasure to play with them, and that's all we've got for today. So, thank you all for hanging around, and we'll see you again real soon.